It's been almost 3 years since the first Ant-Man, directed by Peyton Reed, shrank into theaters, and a lot has happened since then. There's been a superhero civil war, Asgard was destroyed, and oh yeah, Thanos' search for some cool glove that made a lot of people not feel so well. But now, as promised, our tiny little hero is back to battle a new villain, and this time he's not alone. Join us as we provide this ultimate primer to get you ready to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, if you'll recall in the first movie, a CGI'd Michael Douglas played Hank Pym, who vowed to hide his shrinking tech from the likes of S.H.I.E.L.D., going so far as to resign in front of Howard Stark and Peggy Carter.
Easy, Hank.
I formally tender my resignation.
Cut to the present day, and there's Paul Rudd playing Scott Lang. He's a convict at San Quentin, finishing his prison sentence for attempting to steal from his former employer. He's got an engineering degree, but because of his criminal record, no one will hire him, not even Baskin-Robbins, because as we learn in one of the movie's best and somehow not weirdest scenes, Baskin-Robbins always finds out. Still, Scott's gotta find steady work because he's got a young daughter that looks up to him. So, taking the ill advice of his old associate Luis, played by Michael Peña, who is, let's face it, probably the best part of this movie and every movie he's in, Scott decides to rob none other than Hank Pym. Meanwhile, Hank's protege is a guy named Darren Cross, played by Corey Stoll. This guy has figured out a way to replicate the Pym particles that allow a person to shrink and grow at will, and is also kind of nuts.
Hey, little guy.
Hank wants to prevent Cross from perfecting the Yellow Jacket, so he allows Scott Lang to steal the Ant-Man suit because he needs a young, reliable person to help him in his heisting. Under the tutelage of Pym and Pym's daughter, Hope van Dyne, played by Evangeline Lilly, Scott learns how to harness the powers of the suit to their full potential and even befriends an entire horde of ants. His special friend among the insects is named, you guessed it, Antony. Hope is not particularly close with her father and wonders why she can't just don the suit, so Hank admits that Hope's mother did not die when she was young, but disappeared into the quantum realm when the two were on a mission. Turns out Hank lied because he didn't want to lose his daughter too.
You can go separate. Oh no.
What's the quantum realm, you ask? Well, it's essentially the dimension that includes all the building blocks of life that are naked to the human eye. You can only access the place by shrinking down beyond the advisable limit, or in the case of Doctor Strange, using a sling ring. Anyway, in their plan to defeat Cross, Lang has to steal some tech from the Avengers base in New York, which brings him into direct contact with Sam Wilson, the Falcon. And careful viewers will notice that this interaction becomes important later in Captain America's disagreement with Tony Stark in Civil War.
Hi, I'm Scott.
Did he just say, hi, I'm Scott?
Problem is that Cross gets wise to their plans and threatens Lang's daughter. By shrinking down past the advisable limit we mentioned earlier, Scott messes with Cross's own suit, which begins to grow and shrink out of control, and that's the end of Cross. Lang uses one of Pym's growing discs to escape the quantum realm, and when Pym asks if he remembers anything about the experience, hoping to hear news of his wife, Lang says he can't recall a thing. Life returns to semi-normal after that, except there is a dog-sized ant running around, and it's gonna learn to play drums. Also, Pym finally decides it's time for his daughter to become the Wasp.
It's about damn time.
Then comes Civil War, where Tony Stark and Captain America clash. Cap's side recruits Lang at the now famous Sherman Airport battle. He becomes Giant Man and plucks Don Cheadle's War Machine right out of the sky. Ant-Man's undoing is Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and he's captured by the government and imprisoned at sea, which honestly sounds kind of fun. Yes, we did learn in Infinity War that both Lang and Hawkeye struck deals with the government and were put under house arrest so they could spend more time with their families. But make no mistake, the upcoming Ant-Man and the Wasp takes place after Civil War, but before Infinity War. So what all do we know about the new movie? Well, we know the villain, Ghost. In the comics, Ghost is a disillusioned business executive who devotes his life to destroying corporations via sabotage. His villain name refers to the fact that his suit allows him to walk through solid objects just like, well, like a ghost. A friendly spirit, though, he is not. Even with all the information about Ghost, his origin is still a bit muddled, which worked to the advantage of the sequel screenwriters who decided to make the villain female. In the film, she'll be played by Hannah John-Kamen and will gain her invisible abilities by stealing Pym tech. She is, it seems, more formidable than Darren Cross, so to defeat her, it will take Ant-Man the Wasp and most likely some of the supporting players. We know that Luis is back, as are his fellow thieves, Dave and Kurt, played by T.I. Harris and David Dastmalchian. They've turned away from a life of crime and gone legit into what seems like security consulting services.
You would turn to us.
Not me.
Because we robbed you. Do you remember? That's us.
As for new faces, you've got Walton Goggins as Sonny Birch. Now, in the comics, he's a low-level Iron Man who had his reputation ruined when he nearly caused a plane to crash into Washington, D.C. Yeah, that'll do that. An even bigger player is Laurence Fishburne as Pym's old science partner, Bill Foster. We're curious about this one because the character's worn a number of hats over the years in comics, particularly as the second iteration of Giant Man and the fourth version of Goliath. We'll also see Randall Park as Jimmy Woo, a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent whom we've never met before. In the comics, he was part of a team that hunted Godzilla. Yeah, that Godzilla, not the other Godzilla. Is there another one? But anyway, somehow we don't think the big lizard will be in the movie. Maybe, but doubtful. But perhaps the biggest supporting character will be Michelle Pfeiffer's Janet Van Dyne. Now we have mentioned her before. She's Hope's mom, was famously Pym's wife, and was famously a badass leader of the Avengers in the comics. While she was lost in the quantum realm years ago, might she be breaking free and returning to the normal-sized world? This is the 20th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and though it takes place just before Infinity War, it has a lot of work to do. Thankfully, it's packed full of big action and some big names, proving that when it comes to Ant-Man and the Wasp, there are no small parts.
Ant-Man and the Wasp teaming up.
Well, I mean, people shrink down, so the part is small, but you know what we mean. Let us know in the comments what you are most looking forward to from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I am looking forward to Paul Rudd. That's it. Just Paul Rudd. Just standing still. You know, that could be the whole movie. I'd be happy. But let us know what you're looking forward to.